Alright, people. Oh. Oops. There we go. Oops. I hope I didn't just burst anyone's ears open just now. I forgot to fix my volume before I started. I'm sorry, alright? Sorry. Alright. You know how it is. Another tier list video. Another tier list stream. Because I'm just out of ideas. And my arena account's dead. I can't play arena at all right now. All I can do is hope to God that Wizards fixes it at some point. I've done everything I can, so I'm kind of just silently waiting and praying. I don't know. We out of ideas. That's how we do it here. That's how we do it here. We're ranking every MDFC from MH3 because MDFCs are good and great cards, and you right there, you should play them more because they're good. You know what sucks about Magic is that sometimes when you get your opener hand and it's like, wow, lands and spells, great, but sometimes you don't get enough lands, right? So it's like, it's like land turn 1 pass, land turn 2 pass, land turn 3 missed land drop. It sucks. It's not fun. Play MDFCs. These are lands and so what if right? What if you wanted to play Magic, but God said no lands? These fix that. Because it increases the probability of you getting lands. Right? Yes. That is right. Correct. That's exactly right. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that so cool? How you can play the game and not get massacred early on. I think it is. So, you might have noticed that already there's a bottom tier named Rush of Inspiration. Let's just get that out of the way. Yep, there it goes. All right, cool. Well, I'll cover it too. Why not? Let's get into it. Look, all right. Already, this is an MDFC that you can only play. Not only play, but it is like actively bad, I think, outside of energy decks. There's a 100% a chance if you play this outside of an energy deck, there's a really good chance that you play this and your hand like actively becomes worse, right? So you play this and you draw like garbage, right? It's like 2 dead cards, and then you discard a card you need to try and pull back ahead, right? That sucks. And furthermore, I say I smack my mic stand. Furthermore, energy decks, I think, I keep in mind, I've never played an energy deck in my life. I'm pretty sure energy decks actually want to like spend energy on good cards that do good things, not spend energy to avoid downsides when they could just not play said cards with downsides at all. I feel like that's a fair assessment of this card. Like, would you play this just in like generic Is It Spellslinger? It's just a tapped land in the back. I don't think that's very good. It's 3 mana. If it was 2, I'd like it, but for 3 mana, it's just like I don't think it's that good. I think it's just bad. I think this is the only MDFC where there's a chance you play it and it actively hurts you. And for that reason, it gets its own tier. What is this? Razorgrass Ambush. Alright. Razorgrass Ambush, 1 and a white for an instant. It deals 3 damage to target attacking and blocking creature. And then it can be an untapped land if you bolt yourself. It's a white source, obviously. So, I'm kind of torn on this one. I think if you're mono white, you play this, but once you start getting into like 2 and 3 colors, this one might fall off pretty hard. It doesn't even kill anything unless they're attacking. People probably aren't gonna attack with creatures that are small enough to die to Razor Grass Ambush, right? Like I play Bolt in Commander a lot nowadays, and I think Bolt is good. But Bolt doesn't say you cannot cast this unless the creature's attacking. No one's gonna attack with their Thalias and all their little hate bears, right? Opposition agents, all that. They're not gonna attack with those. It doesn't make sense. That just open them being blown out. They're not gonna do that. I think once you leave mono white territory, this one becomes kind of becomes kind of meh. Like, I think Gideon's approach is 4 damage. I think 4 damage actually is a decent enough damage to kill a creature that is meant to be attacking. 3 damage is not in my opinion. So I kind of want to put it in playable in some decks, but I don't know, man. I really can't think. Maybe if you're in, like, Azorius, you might play it, right? But I think if you're in, like, Orzhov, Boros, or Selesnya, you're just not going to play this. A nerfed Ganjo? I agree. It is a nerfed Ganjo. I'm going to put it in Issue Niche. I really think that once you leave mono white territory, you don't... It kind of leaves the realm of playability, honestly. Because, you know, you're a mono white, you're only playing... You're playing, you know... the MDFCs you can get, because you only have options for 1 color, pretty much. Next we got Witch Enchanter. If I can find it, here we go. 3 and white for a human warlock creature 2/2. When she enters the battlefield, destroys her artifact or enchantment opponent controls. And it's an untapped land for 3 life. And it's a white source. This one I actually think is pretty good. It's a human, which is a relevant creature type. You can blink it. It's white. It's great in blink decks. You can just keep blowing up multiple things over multiple turns. It's an untapped MDFC. It's just a creature. 4 mana is a little expensive, I suppose, but I mean, if you blink this thing, she's great. I would say pretty much every monocolor MDFC is good and like playable until you probably get into like 4 color and 5 color decks, because at that point the monocolor land is a real cost, I think. I mean, she's just a decent removal spell, man. Like, it's just 4 mana 2/2. It's a human, so she's great in human decks. She's a warlock if you're playing outlaws, I guess. What, are you playing Jeskai, Esper outlaws? Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna say good in most decks. Like, sure, 4 mana is a lot, but it's also a land, so you have no room to complain. You can just play it as a land if you want to. This one, okay. All right. Hydroelectric Specimen. 2 in the blue for a 1/4 weird creature with flash. When a Hydroelectric Specimen enters the battlefield, you may change the target of target instant or source spell with a single target to a Hydroelectric Specimen. And then it's an untapped blue land for 3 life. So, one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand about this card, and probably Spellskite too, because that's a very similar effect. The target doesn't have to be legal on Specimen, right? Which sounds weird and confusing. Let's say someone casts I don't know, a Wit's End, or a Thoughtseize, right? A Thoughtseize. Let's say someone tries to Thoughtseize you. You can cast this and change the target of the Thoughtseize to the Specimen, which just kind of counters it. Because, you know, obviously a player can't look at a creature's hand, because it's a creature, it's not a person with a hand. So this is like a weird counterspell. It's 3 mana, and I do think any cast spell that costs more than 3 mana and is like really bad. It has to have some insane upside, or you just gotta be a big mana deck for, I think, for 3 mana plus cast spells to be playable. But it's a 3 mana cast spell. It's also a land. I think this one's good. Like, I think every blue deck runs this. I play this in like Grixis decks, Sultai decks. Again, like I think it's once you leave like 3-color territories when the monocolor MDFCs can become a little sussy, because you need the mana fixing. I think the monocolor lands might be a real deck building cost in 4 and 5-color decks. Then again, I've also heard it take that you should be playing like 44 lands and have like 10 of them be MDFCs. If that's your land ratio and land philosophy index, right? Maybe. I think it's good. I'm gonna say that Specimen is good in most decks. Next up is Sink into Stupor. 1 blue for an instant. Return target spell or non-land permanent and opponent controls to owner's hand. And it's an untapped land. It's a blue land for 3 life. This is just good, right? This is just like 3 mana unsubstantiate. It's also a land. That sounds good to me. I'd probably play this in 4-color decks even. Like those Crom Timna decks that I don't play because that deck is so boring to play. But like legit, it's a land. It's also like a counter spell or a bounce spell. I said counter spell, remand, whatever your preferred term is. There's not much to say here. This one's great, honestly. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's our first step right there. I think it's slightly better than Specimen just because it can be used offensively. It's not strictly only able to be used defensively, I think is what makes it a little better. A little over the top. Next up, we got ourselves a Boggart Trawler. 2 black for a 3/1 goblin creature. When Boggart Trawler enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard, and then that can be an untapped land for 3 life. So the obvious comparison here is with Bojuka Bog. Dude, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like every time I run Bojuka Bog in my decks, and every time I draw it, I end up playing it because I don't want to miss my land drop of the turn, and it exiles like 3 cards. Bojuka Bog almost never actually does a good job of exiling someone's graveyard. I think it's still a good card, and you should still run it, because I mean, sometimes you are going to play against those Marin decks that just are absurdly dumb with the graveyard shenanigans, right? But this is a Bojuka Bog that can enter untapped, or you just pay 3 mana and cast it and get a body alongside Graveyard Hate. Also, it's a goblin, right? If you're playing black-red goblins, all those base Wart Bugger Auntie players who play black-red goblins because they're cool and they don't succumb to the mono red Krenko craze, right? Graveyard Hate is good. You can enter untapped. Would this replace Bojuka Bog in my decks? Probably, honestly. Like, I'd rather be able to have it enter untapped. If I gotta pay 3 mana to actually exile graveyards, and even then, it's still a 3/1 blocker. Like, it's fine. I'm gonna say it's Graveyard Hate. I mean, I don't play Bojuka Bog in every deck. Would I play this in every deck? I'm thinking about it. I don't know, like, it's Graveyard Hate, man. I can't put Graveyard Hate MDFC below a good, man. I can't do that. I just cannot do that. Next up is Fel the Profane. 2 black for an instant. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. And then to untap black land for 3 life. I mean, do I gotta do I even need to like discuss this? It's just a 4-mana Hero's Downfall. That's also a land. What do you mean to say? Oh yes, removal on land, good. Yes, bro. Obviously it's good, bro. For God's sake. All right, next up is Pinnacle Monk. 3 red for a 2/2 Jin Monk creature of prowess. When Pinnacle Monk enters the battlefield, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand, and to untap land for 3 life. This one's kind of tough, honestly. I think Archaeomancer is like really not that great nowadays, because 4 mana to return 1 thing is a lot. If you're blinking it becomes a lot better, obviously, but 5 mana is like terrible, dude. Sure, it's got prowess, so it can be an actually somewhat offensive body if you're one of those decks that can cast multiple spells a turn, right? This thing can become if you can make this thing a 5/5 or a 6/6 multiple turns in a row, I think the extra mana comp is honestly probably worth it. But God, it's just so much, dude. It's 5 mana is a lot. It's so much. Like, I feel like if you're casting this, that's your turn. That's it. You just cast this and pass. 5 mana for a 2/2, get something back is pretty terrible. Not to mention, you have to have enough things to occur with it in general. I'm gonna say that this is our first playable in some decks. It's okay. I don't think it's terrible. It's not gonna be almost never useful like Razorgrass Ambush is, but at the same time, I feel like if I'm casting this, that's probably gonna end up being my whole turn, which is not great in my opinion. Next up is this one. Sundering Eruption, 2 red for a sorcery. Destroy target land. It's going to control my search library for a basic land card and put battlefield tap and shuffle. Creatures out flying cannot block this turn. I think that line right there is what makes this card really good. Like, being able to hate on lands without having any actual like deck building cost is amazing. Of course, it can enter untap as well for 3 life. Of course, it can. There legit needs to be more like hate for non-basic lands in this format. All these stupid Field of Deads. We just got Ugin's Labyrinth, Field of Deads, Gaia's Cradles, and Cabal Coffers. All these just nuts busted lands. This is a land you can run that hates on other lands, or it can just be a decent land on its own. Also, if you're in like an aggro deck, this thing just turns off blocks for the whole turn. You can just cast this and legit kill someone. Creatures out flying can't block this turn. That's like 90% of creatures in Commander, bro. You cast this and then you just kill the green player with your army of I don't know, dragons or goblins or whatever in your red deck, right? I think this thing's great. I think this thing's really good. Hates on non-basics, prevents blocks. I gotta say staple, y'all. I have to. I gotta say staple. I've got to say staple. Next up, we got ourselves a Bridgeworks Battle. 2 mana green for a sorcery. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It fights up to 1 target creature you don't control, and then it's a land for untapped land for 3 life. So you gotta be in a creature deck, right? You have to have a creature that will actually win the fight, or at least tie. That way it kills. 3 mana is not terrible, I think, considering it's MDFC. but it gotta be in a creature deck, I think, for it to even be good. I don't think it's higher than playable. But I don't think it's extremely niche either, because most green decks are probably going to have the creatures necessary to make this good and playable. Just because it's green. Green gets all the stupid OP busted creatures. You know, they have like 10 mana by turn 5, and they just cast their Hydras and garbage on turn 5, and just have like 20 power by turn 6 or whatever. I think playable's fine. Like, it's a fight spell. It's a fight spell. It's also a land. It's fine. Next up, we got Disciple of Freyalise. Hooray! Hooray! Disciple of Bolas couldn't just be Black's thing. No, green needed one too. Green needed one too. Of course. Of course. It's overcosted, but like, who cares, dude? 6 mana is like 3 for green. That's how it works. 10 drops are actually 5 drops in green, etc. 4 drops are 2 drops for green. 6 drops are 4 drops for green. Or no, 8 drops are 4 drops for green. That's how it works. I mean, you're in green. You get bigger creatures and more mana than black does. This thing should be able to draw you like 10 cards and gain you 10 life very easily. And then, oh, by the way, it's also a land if you need it. Untapped. Untapped, of course. That being said, you do have to be in a deck that is actually playing big creatures, right? Like, I don't think you're not playing some tokens unless you're doing some like convocation against, like, I don't know, Impervious Great Worm. If you sack an Impervious Great Worm into this thing, that's pretty cool, I guess. I don't know, man. I think this MDFC absolutely has the biggest ceiling out of all of them. But at the same time, I think it's not exactly a slam dunk in every deck either. I mean, so let's just say you're running this in your I don't know, slicing a token deck, right? You make a 4/4 somehow, right? Maybe you make a Rhino somehow, maybe running Crashing Footballs in your Populate deck where you run Growing Ranks and all that stuff, right? Are you happy paying 6 mana to sack a 4/4 to draw 4 cards, gain 4 life? Because, like, sure, obviously, you know, sacking a 10/10 and drawing 10 cards is the dream, but are you happy just paying 6 mana to get a 3/3 and then sacking a 4/4 to draw 4 cards, gain 4 life? I think you are, especially on an MDFC. Plus, she's a body herself. She's a decent blocker. 3/3 is not totally irrelevant. It kind of is. It's kind of relevant. I'm gonna say good in most decks. No other MDFC so far, and I don't think any in general, it actually allows you to draw cards. And you don't really have to sack a huge thing for you to get some value out of it. It can be like 6 mana, draw 3, gain 3. And get a body, which I think is fine. Next up is Blood-Soaked Insight. 5 Rakdos for a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. Target opponent exiles top 3 cards of their library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. If you cast a spell this way, mana of any type can be spent to cast it, and then it's a black-red tap land. Alright, so now we're entering the dual color territory. So these lands will always enter tapped no matter what. No matter what happens, the lands on these will always enter tapped. I think stealing cards from your opponent's deck isn't really that good. Furthermore, I don't think I'm happy casting this unless I'm casting it for 2 mana. I'm content if I cast it for 3, but I'm not happy as I'm paying 2 mana for it. Because, you know, you don't know what you're getting. You're kind of just getting a bunch of random cards from somebody else's deck. They might be good, they might suck. Right? Also, if you hit multiple lands, sounds fun, probably plays bad. I think I agree, honestly. I think I agree. Like, you also gotta be in a deck, I think, that can consistently be able to make it cost 2, which I think is easier said than done. The one deck that comes to mind is Rakdos. I think it's Rakdos Lord of Riots, the one that like reduces your spells for 1 for each life your opponent's lost this turn. I think it's good in that deck for sure. Outside of that, I don't know. Then again, it's also it is a land, but it's a tap land. Look, we know nowadays that I think having lands that are tapped is a real cost. Then again, it's also MDFCs, and a lot of us play MDFCs whether they're tapped or not. Bala Get Recovery, that one's good. Tajiri Shelter, that one's good. Those are tap lands. Those are monocolor as well. I kind of want to say extremely niche, to be honest. Like, if you're in a pinch, it can get you just something to do, but I'm gonna say playable in some decks, just because it is an MDFC that gives you card draw to a degree, or at least card advantage, because it's exile top of an opponent's deck. I think card advantage on an MDFC is good. I don't think it's niche like Ambush is, where there's a real chance you draw it and you can almost never cast it anyways. Next up is Drowner of Truth. 5 Simic for a 7/6 Devoid Eldrazi creature. When you cast this spell, if specifically colorless was spent to cast it, create 2 spawns. I thought this thing made the spawns regardless. I actually didn't realize you had to spend colorless on to get the spawns, which I think actually makes it way worse than I thought it was. And then it's also a blue-green tap land. I didn't realize you actually had to spend colorless on it to actually get the spawns. I didn't realize that. So if you're in like Simic good stuff, are you just jamming this in for the sake of being able to just cast a big fat creature sometimes? Like, assuming you can't actually fulfill the colorless requirement on this, right, to get the spawn tokens, are you happy just running this in the land slot in your blue-green deck to sometimes have just a fat creature? Look, you're in green. 7 mana is like 3.5 for those decks. So, I really don't think you're playing this outside of, like, specifically Simic. I'm not playing this in my Bant decks. I'm not playing this in my... I might play it in, like, Mimeoplasm, maybe, just cuz. Because you can just discard it and get it back if you need to. In a pinch, I guess, with Mimeoplasm itself. I think it's probably fine in Sultai. I'm gonna say it's good in, like, Sultai and Simic. I don't think you're playing this in any, like, teamer decks like Calamax or Paco Halden. I don't think you're playing this in, like... Maybe Tulane? Maybe Tulane wants this? Tulane just kind of is a weird Simic deck. It does trigger Emoti. I think this thing is probably amazing in Emoti. I definitely am going to run this in my Emoti Eldrazi deck in IRL, 100%. But I do think it's one of the more niche ones on here. it's a tap land, it really is just a big fat creature with absolutely no utility. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of... No. I think if you can get the spawns off of it, it's good and like actually way better because you do get 2 mana back. And at that point, it's either you spent 5 mana for a 7/6 or you just got 2 treasures. And spawns are basically a treasure. Or you got 2 chump blockers. I think if you can get the actual spawns off of this consistently, it's way better. If this thing is just gonna be a 7/6 vanilla creature in your deck, it becomes way worse, I think. Next is Glasswing Grace. 3 Orzhov for an aura enchantment on a creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and lifelink. Okay, look, alright. Orzhov is life paying colors. Orzhov is life gain colors, right? You get some evasion and like... I mean, dude, you put this on a 3/3 and you got a 5/5 flyer that can probably net you 5 life a turn. I don't think that's irrelevant. Just put it on your commander and, well, maybe not commander. That might be a little too blowouty. It's 5 mana though, and that is pretty bad. Like, when I look at this thing, I think of Divinity of Pride, which was one of the avatars from Lorwyn block. It was like 5 Orzhov for a 4/4 flying a lifelink angel spirit, but it became an 8/8 if you had a 25 or more life. So you paid 5 mana for this 8/8 flying lifelinker. Paying 5 mana to get a 5/5 flying lifelinker, I think is still good. Plus, it's also just a land, right? This might be an unpopular take on my part, but I really don't think Glasswing Grace is that terrible. I know people hate auras. People see, oh, it doesn't do anything. It's just an aura. It just makes one creature a little better. I really think, man, like, just slapping this on any sort of, like, just decently bodied creature can gain you a lot of life over just a couple of turns. Can easily gain you, like, 15 life, 20 life if you put on a 3/3. I'd say I'm probably not happy putting this on anything smaller than a 3/3. I definitely want to be gaining at least 5 life off of this a turn, and no less. And of course, there's always the dream of putting it on like a, I don't know, like what you run this in your artifact deck with cranial plating, and you put this on a creature and put cranial plating on it, and then you gain 20 life, right? Like, of course it's gonna be good there. But that's, you know, Christmas Town. That's Christmas Town. I'm gonna say playable. You know what? No. A tier higher. I think. Move this thing to, like, here. No. Here. There we go. I think it's good in most decks. Life gain is good if it's unassuming, right? Soul Warden, I've seen gain like 20 life before, and people are like, "Hey, dude, why are you at 67?" Because I have a Soul Warden. That's why. Next up, we have, what is it? Oh, Legion Leadership. 1 in a Boros instant. Until end of turn, double a target creature's power, and it gains first strike. And it's a land. I think this thing's insane. Like, I think this one's really good. It's either it can be like a safe spell in combat. It can just be a way to kill someone. Straight up. Swing for 7. Oh, okay. I guess I'll just take it. Cool, bro. Fuck you. Actually, it's 14. It gets first strike. Like it's a combat trick. It's a land. It can help you do. It can help push through a ton of damage. Imagine playing this. Imagine playing this in your dinosaur deck, and you cast this on Galta, and you hit him for 24, dude. With your 2-mana 12/12 trampler. I think this thing's great. I think it's really good. It's a great combat trick. It's 2 mana. It's nice and cheap. This thing is literally like Teamer Battle Rage on MDFC, which I think is really nuts. It's not a staple, but I think if you're in white-red colors, I really can't see you not wanting to play this. Honest to God, I really can't. Next is Revitalizing Repast. A single Golgari for an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains indestructible for some reason. Oh my god. Dude. Alright, bro. Let me tell you something, alright? Y'all are sleeping. Commander players are sleeping on all of these like 1-mana save spells. Blacksmith Skill. Temio Safekeeping, Tyvar Stand, hell, even just Dispel. Good old, like, 1 blue mana instant, counter an instant spell, Dispel. 1 mana, tapping a single land to save something is amazing. All those spells I just listed are basically, like, 1 mana cast spells for removal, which is amazing, because removal is almost always at least 2 mana, and a lot of Magic players nowadays are like prioritize flexibility over efficiency. So people play a ton of the like 3 mana hit anything spells like Beast Within, Generous Gift, Anguish Unmaking, all those spells, right? So if like for 1 mana you get a counter on something, it gains indestructible. It does not gain hexproof, but again, it's an MDFC. It can save from like Terminates. Like, it's so good, dude. It's so good. 1 mana save spells are legit, like, really good and really, really slept on. Especially in those decks where it's like your commander has to not die for you to do your thing. Especially in those decks. All these, like, 1 mana cast spells for removal. It's so good. Sure, you can't really dodge, like, Swords of Plowshares or Anguish Unmaking with this. But I think it dodges enough, and keep in mind it's also MDFC. This thing is so cheap too. I would totally expect this to be a 2 mana spell, considering it's MDFC. But no, dude. Imagine playing this and like imagine running Incubation Druid, and you just cast this next turn and turn a Druid on, so it taps for 3 immediately. Kind of nuts. Kind of goes hard. I'm just saying. It does enter tapped if you play it on a land side, but I mean, dude, like it's so cheap. It's a 1 mana save spell. I really can't see you not wanting that in every Golgari deck, dude. I really can't. I really can't. Next up is Strength of the Harvest. 2 and a Selesnya for an Aura enchantment. Enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each creature. Oh, wow. Gets +1/+1 for each creature and or enchantment you control. Oh, I thought it was, each enchantment or artifact. Huh. Interesting. I mean, if you're playing token decks, right? You want this? I would think. Or like maybe not enchantment decks, but then again maybe yes enchantment decks because it's MDFC. It's a green white land if you need it. I mean, would you play all that glitters for 1 more mana if it's on MDFC? It doesn't count artifacts, it counts creatures, but I think considering the fact you're forced to play in a Selesnya deck, I think the creature change is probably an upgrade rather than a downgrade, to be honest. I mean, yeah, right? Like, it's just Deece. It's just Deece. I mean, tokens, enchantments, probably not good outside of that. I have seen some people say that this card is like crazy, though, to be honest. I've seen some people be very high on this one, not gonna lie. I'll put it at the top of playable because I do think this one's ceiling is way higher than these three right here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, all right, cool. I'll put it in good in most decks. I'll put it in good in most decks. Next up is Stump Stomp. Stump Stomp. Stump Stomp. 1 on a Gruul, sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power. Target creature or planeswalker you don't control. This is literally just like a strictly better Rabbit Bite, bro. No. Deals damage equals power to our creature or planeswalker you don't control. Yeah. Like, this is just... They just took Rabbit Bite and made it MDFC. So it's great in that regard. You gotta be a creature deck, but guess what? You're in green-red, so you're probably a creature deck anyways. Unless you're in, like, I don't know, Calamax, right? It is very similar to Bridgeworks Battle, but then again, it's 1 less mana. You don't get the +2/+2. But then again, you can't really get you can't get traded, right? You can't get traded because it deals damage, not they fight. I'm gonna say is tapped. I'm gonna put a top playable because you do gotta be in a creature deck, but you gotta be in green-red rule. And I do think there are gonna be times where it's like you have this and you just don't have the correct creature to be able to kill something. Just cause that's the nature of these effects, really. Next up is Suppression Ray. 3 Azorius for a sorcery. Tap all creatures target player controls. You may pay X energy. Then choose up to X creatures tapped this way. Put a stun counter on each of them. Dude. Okay. So, the only other card I can think of that's playable nowadays, where it like taps someone's board down, is like Tempest Caller. And that's specifically only in Merfolk. I really can't think of any blue-white deck that would want this card. I really can't. If you're in blue-white, you're probably in Flyers. You're probably that, or you're just straight up not an attacking deck. Like, blue-white tends to be like a very controlling, go for a big spell or combo deck. Blue-white is not this like, oh, I'm gonna tap your stuff, that's gonna attack you. I guess if there's an arch enemy with a huge board, you can kind of just, like, lock them down for a turn. But guess what? You don't even stun lock them unless you're an energy. You literally cannot use this thing defensively unless you are specifically in an energy deck. Which, I think if you're spending a bunch of energy to sleep someone, that's really bad. I really think you have to spend your energy on something more valuable than a overcosted sleep, right? I mean, you're not even paying just 1 more mana. You're paying 1 more mana and likely a large amount of energy reserve. Plus the tap land, dude. I don't like this thing at all. I really do not like this thing at all. I can't think of any blue-white thing that wants this thing at all. I'm sorry. It's almost Rush of Inspiration tier, but Rush of Inspiration can like actively hurt you with some bad luck. This thing can't. I'm gonna put it at the very bottom of niche, but it's still like easily the 2nd worst MDFC in this whole list, without a doubt. Finally, We got Waterlogged Teachings, Fiona Demir, instant. Search your library for an instant card or a card with flash. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. And then it's a land. Dude, if you're in blue-black, you probably already have a nice selection of instant spells or flash spells anyways. Dude, it's a tutor, an instant speed tutor, by the way, on an MDFC. It only grabs instant bounce, man. Who cares? You're in blue-black. Those are like counterspell colors. Those are reactionary colors. You can easily just pass, hold the counterspell. Oh, you do nothing? Cool. End of your turn. Tutor. That's so good. That's so good. I think this one is the most staple of all, to be honest. Easily. Easily. Most staple of all. I think I'm happy with that. I don't think there's anything I'd change here, honestly. I mean, these are all, like, decently cheap spells. Nothing's, like, absurdly expensive. You're almost always gonna get use out of all these, I'd say. I could move leadership up. Right? Like, what white-red decks out there that you don't want to play Legion leadership in, right? Like, I would think that if you're in, like, Jeskai, you wouldn't want that, right? But then again, Jeskai tends to be prowess colors, right? Actually, you know what? Yeah, move leadership up to staple, honestly. Move it up. Move it up. It's good. It's good. Even the Jeskai, like, Spellseeker decks is good. My dogs are barking. I think I'm happy with that. I kind of don't want this to be in good. I kind of want to move back down to playable, to be honest, but... yeah, I'm move down to playable. My dog's going crazy. I can't do the outro like this. He is so mouthy, bro. He is so mouthy. Yeah. I think that's what I'm gonna call the list for the final placements, honestly. Just don't play Rush and you're good. Just don't play Rush and you're fine, honestly. So, sorry, is it players? You got screwed over. Oopsie daisy. So yeah, love of God, play more MDFCs. All right, getting mana screwed sucks. I've heard the opinion that you should be playing. I think you should be that. I've heard a take that you should be playing like 40 to 44 lands and 44 lands and have like 8 to 10 of them be MDFCs. I haven't gotten the chance to try that philosophy yet regarding the land base, but considering the fact we just got 20 more MDFCs with MH3, I'm probably gonna try it at some point and see how I like it. Play them. They're great. They are lands and spells. They help you fight back against the eternal MTG curse of Mana Flood and Mana Screw. Please, for the love of God, play MDFCs. They're good. Oh, they're sometimes overcosted. Who cares? Who cares? You can just play them as a land if you don't want to cast a spell, man. It's fine. And also, like 10 of them, you can just pay 3 life and have them enter untapped. They're great. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Tom, for sticking around and chatting with me. I appreciate it. I'm not live right now because my arena account is like fucked over. I can't get into matches at all. I've sent a support ticket to Wizards. I've tried everything I can to try and like reboot my account, like troubleshoot it, try and get it back online. Nothing I've done works. I've uninstalled Arena, reinstalled it. I've logged out my account, logged back in. I restarted my PC multiple times. I did everything I could on their site to try and like fix it myself. Literally, matches just do not load at all right now. So no matter what happens, I just can't get into a game. So Arena is postponed indefinitely until they release a patch to fix that. I really hope it's not a permanent thing, but it might be, to be honest, because I don't think I've seen anyone else online complain about this issue at all. It's only been me. So it makes me a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. It makes me a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. But I've sent them a support ticket, and they kind of just told me, hey, nothing we told you is working. We're gonna push this to like the correct team, and we'll get back to you when we get a fix. I think what happened is something with the MH3 cards like corrupted my software of Arena, because like I had a friend, I log into his device on my account, and then he logged out of my account and back in his normal account, and then he began suffering the exact same issue. So there's something with like my card inventory on my account that's causing Arena to like bug out super hard and just not load matches. Like if I try to load to a match, all I see is currently waiting, and the timer will just keep going and going and going and going, and I won't get to a match at all. And it's not just draft, it's like every format, standard, brawl, everything. So I literally can't play Arena at all right now. I hope to God they release a patch soon to fix that. But considering the fact that like I've seen no one else having this issue online, I don't know if that's ever gonna get fixed, which I really hope is not the case. So all I can do is wait it out. If you all got any ideas for content from me in the meantime, please let me know in the community tab. I'm posting things there every day. Well, not every day. It is really weird, dude. Like I've done everything I can to fix it. I don't know what it is. I didn't face this issue until MH3 released. I paid gold to enter a draft for MH3. The draft worked fine. I could draft cards no problem. It was like after that I tried to queue into a game. Currently waiting forever. No changes at all of any kind whatsoever. Stuff just didn't load. No matter what I did, it just didn't work. I've done everything I can. It really is just like kind of up to Wizards at this point to try and work to fix it, because I am like 99% sure there's some kind of like glitch with my account. Maybe it's like something stupid like a specific number of cards I have. I'm not sure, but thank you all for watching. Hopefully Arena will be back sooner rather than later and not never. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm live 4 p.m. EST usually, whenever I'm live nowadays. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. I am 300 subs away from reaching 1K. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. We'll get there eventually. It'll be awesome. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. I will try and get this video out within the next couple of days, hopefully. And I will see you all next time.